Hey guys, what's up? It's Yoon here. Today for episode 3 of When Games, we have Function. So for those of you guys that don't know Function, Function is one of the most popular influencers in the space, probably number 2 only to Ice Knife. And yeah, he's been around forever, very knowledgeable about both ETH and Sol NFTs. Function, is that a fair description?
Yeah, that's a super fair description. Ice Knife is gonna love that one when he sees that.
So let's talk a little bit about your origin. How'd you get started in crypto and NFTs?
Um, I got started in 2017, super deep. I bought a played around with it a little bit in 2013, but didn't really take it seriously. But went full time into crypto, just trading and getting involved in the ecosystem in 2017, and spent most of 2018 through 2020 like traveling before COVID hit, and going to conferences and getting really deep in the ecosystem and involved. And when NFTs came around, it just kind of like happened that this account grew and started to expand, and people started to like the content that I was producing and the NFTs that I was sharing, and just had a lot of fun with the community. And so here we are.
Yeah. I remember when I first started getting into Solana NFTs, you were one of the bigger voices, and you had, I want to say, a mutant ape as your profile picture. So I was kind of surprised. I was a little familiar because, oh, this guy has a mutant ape and he has a lot of followers, so he must be pretty big. But why is he talking about Solana NFTs? Normally, the people talking about Solana NFTs have the pixelated monkey pictures.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I was super, super, super early into Solana NFTs. So I got into Solana when it was like 18 bucks, and then started to just like had a Twitter account. I was just like observing. This is before Function. I had a Twitter account. I was just observing the ecosystem and watching it grow and participating a little bit. And so I just saw that everybody was really excited about Solana, and that the community was starting to build NFTs, and when pre-Holoplex and all this other stuff, like Solana Monkey Business did their Gen 1, and I was in that, and all of those mints very early, Fract and all that stuff, Legion Punks and all those random fun things that we were doing back in the old days. Um, and so I was really in it early, and Bored Apes caught my attention on ETH. So like I didn't really speak a lot about like my Solana investments until really like like August timeframe, when everything started to pop off, and I started to realize that I had like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of pixel monkeys just sitting in my wallet. you know. Um, but I love Solana. It's an awesome ecosystem. It's super fun.
Great. So, what was the early days like? The Solana monkey business, that being like the only NFT. You mentioned Legion Punks. I don't even remember that one. I know people talk about it every now and then. I
Yeah.
I was early. I was there for the Aurora mint, but yeah, I wasn't as early as you were.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was different. Because when Gen 1 came out for Solana Monkey Business, it was literally like join a Discord, and send USDC to an address, and we'll send you back a pixel monkey, you know.
That's
And
so
mind you, it wasn't a lot of USDC. I think it was like 300, $400 per set or something like that at the time. Um, but that was like the gig, and Solana was like 18, 25 bucks, something like that. Um, and Fract was the first one that I remember, if I'm correct, that did the actual like press button to mint,
hmm
you know? And it was, dude, it was literally like I think a .5 Sol mint, and Sol was like 25 bucks, and it was like one of the only NFTs on Solana. So I was just like every couple hours I just go back to the website, just click the button, because it was just sit there for days, you know. And so it was really fun watching just like the ecosystem like start to like bloom and like flourish in that way.
hmm
Um, and since then it's just like expanded and gone like nuclear.
Yeah.
I'm just like grateful to be involved with it to any degree.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy to think about nowadays. We have projects like OK Bears that are doing more volume than each project in a 24-hour window, which is something I thought would happen in the future, but never this fast.
100%, dude. I mean, to me, I was like convinced Solana had like long-term potential when you see like massive buys happening in the ecosystem, specifically like around like October, November last year, when like I think it was like a million or maybe $2 million buy for that Solana monkey business. skeleton with the
Yeah.
crown. There was like a degen ape that sold for some crazy amounts, you
Mhm.
know, even a soul punk sold for a fucking stupid
Okay.
400. You know? And so when I see that, to me, that's an indication that capital is moving into an ecosystem and a lot of capital, like big money. Um, and so I'm willing to take like early bets on stuff in an ecosystem that I see capital moving in that kind of way, and an ecosystem that I can like navigate and like understand well.
Mhm.
You know, I've we meme and joke about Cardano a lot, and like it becomes a big topic on crypto Twitter and Solana space, but it's really just a joke. But the fact is, like, I've been able to personally have a better experience in the Solana ecosystem, understanding the community, interacting with them, like with the ecosystem itself. It's just more of a fit for me.
Mhm.
Doesn't make Cardano wrong for anyone. You know, we just joke around on the internet. Um, that being said, like, I think Solana is just like a super easy like entry for people, which is why it's creating so much attraction right now.
Mm. That was kind of what I'd imagined for Solana in the future. When ETH NFTs are starting at somewhere around 4 digits and it costs somewhere from $100, sometimes even $200, $300 for gas to do anything on there. I didn't think that would be feasible for the masses. And the big advantage that Solana has is low gas, which means that you're going to have tons of people able to use it in a pretty non-frictionless way. But it also had a lot of side effects where we get a lot of flippers and the liquidity is instant. And yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about where the ecosystem has gone because there's a lot of 10K mints minting out every day. Some of them flopping, some of them doing well, and it's very meta driven, very hype driven. Really curious to grab your thoughts on what the Solana ecosystem is like nowadays and whether it's healthy or not.
It just reminds me of a cycle, you know, and I think it is a cycle. Uh, Watching what happened in October is like really almost the exact same thing that's happening now, except there's just bigger players and more money. October to November was just like mint season. Like every day there was 5 mints and everyone was aping them and they were selling them and like it was ridiculous. Then it was just like dead most of December and January. And so I kind of feel like it's getting to one of those like periods of like of time where you have too many mints happening because it's low cost to mint on Solana. Like there's pretty much no fees. So you can mint anything you want, you know. Low awareness and like the meta standpoint, like understanding that like if a company has 250,000 followers, like an NFT project has 250K followers on Twitter and Magic Eden has 150K, like they're most likely filled with bots
Mm-hmm.
and most likely like not, unless like you've watched like the founders speak and you have like other conviction behind it, like choosing to like base your like investment on amount of followers or Discord users is a poor investment strategy, and has proven to be one over the last couple weeks. So I think we're just at one of those points where, at least for me personally, I'm looking at the ecosystem. I think it's good. I think there's like more money coming in and more people buying and more people transacting, even if it is trash. That is what it is. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
part of the evolution. So it's good. Um, and I look at it as an opportunity to like buy things that I believe in now, you know, and teams that I actually believe in and have like watched execute or I believe have the potential to execute and make investments in those and just like hold and wait, you know. And some of these plays I'll play a little flip here and there as well. It's fun. That being said, like I remember like like October, November, December, like your best bet would have been to buy D gods,
Mm-hmm.
bet on a team that was actually continually building shit,
Mm.
you know. And so most people were like, oh, they're not like high floor price, I'm not buying. Like I saw a little bit past that and was able to like connect with Frank and see that he had like a vision that was like bigger than like just one launch and like, oh, we fucked it, like it's not going well, we're gonna quit, which is how most founders react.
Mm.
Um, quote unquote founders, right? So that's kind of my view on the industry right now. There's a lot of money flowing in, a lot of it's like trash shit that's going on, and like that's okay. Like it's part of how we have to grow and evolve. Because like if people are still willing to buy trash, then we haven't evolved. And that's not on the people that are selling the trash. Like partially it is, but it's mostly on the people that are buying the trash. Like there's like a huge like lack of responsibility that like people like to take in the industry, especially during bear periods where people like to like divert responsibility. Like it's like these other people's founders like faults, you
Hmm.
know? And like I'm not one to like judge intentions of a person like super deeply until I've like had like deep intellectual conversations with them and like understood like their perspective on life a little bit more. That being said, like I can understand why people are frustrated that there's 10,000 like mints happening and that there's $2 million leaving the ecosystem almost every day. And there's like a huge responsibility to the people that are buying that if you don't want that to happen, then just stop buying it.
Hmm.
So there's a conflict between the individual being mad about it and wanting to make profit, which is why there's still a divide and why it still happens because it's still looked at as a profitable opportunity
Yeah.
until
Some
it isn't, and it'll stop.
Someone once said the only way to effectively short the NFT market is to launch a collection. And I think about that quote every day because
Amazing.
it's it's actually so true. When there's so much shit going on and you think there's so much fluff, there's the only real way you can benefit is to launch your own shitty collection and have people buy. And I think that's what a lot of projects have been doing recently with like the 10Ks. They've seen the branding meta kind of set by OK Bears and how easy it's been to drive hype through Twitter following, through giveaways, and the buyers are honestly dumb. We can't have 10K projects launching every day, a 10K PFP profile project launching every day, and expect every single one of those to do well. I think at a certain point, the buyer has to really think about, okay, what am I buying? What's the quality of the team? What is the future for this project? And it might be funny that I work at Magic Eden, where we are the launchpad launching a lot of these projects. But at the end of the day, our duty is the safety check, and we let the free market play out. And from the way the market is playing out right now, I'm really surprised how many of these projects are able to mint out and how the buyers have been reacting.
Percent. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, kind of just all part of the evolution, you know. Um, I think, in my opinion, it's done. Like after the last couple of days, like I think after Just Ape, it's kind of like anybody that minted before Just Ape got a little bit lucky. And so we'll see what happens now. But again, my thing's just betting on good teams, hoping they do well.
Mm. So you've been in the industry for a while, and it's funny to say that because I think Solana NFTs are just about to turn 1 year old, and that is a while in the space. What's been
Right.
your best place in this space so far?
Definitely being, I mean, financially, definitely being in like Solana monkey business early, you know.
How early did
Um,
you get in?
well, in the Gen 1, I was in Gen 1. I had two
Mm.
sets of the Gen 1 that I bought for maybe 750, $800 and sold them for like a very, like multiple six figures. Uh,
Crazy,
uh,
crazy.
so that was a fun little story. And like, yeah, I mean, being in all that stuff was just like fun and like interesting to kind of flow in and out of and participate in. And just kind of interested to see where it goes from here. And glad to be a part of like early investor in Magic Eden as well. That
Oh,
would be a good hopefully will turn out to be a good play in the long run. You guys are killing it.
yeah, I think it'll be your best play yet.
I hope so.
So I'm surprised you didn't mention Digots and Mutant Apes because I remember you crying about like Mutant Apes, like people, like it's time to buy, like, and it was at like 4 or 5 ETH, and then it
Yeah.
skyrocketed. I remember it went up all the way to 30 ETH, and then this is discounting like the ape coin that you get on top of that. So
Yeah, and land, yeah. It's crazy. No, yeah, I mean I was super early on D Gods and just only because Frank has like unique ways of marketing and getting people's attention that got my attention and was like, cool, I'll bet on this guy. He seems cool. Um, and same with mutants, like it just seemed like an obvious play to me. Like they had been 80th, they went down to 3. I was buying at 3 to 4, pretty publicly. And was just like, this has the opportunity to go up. Like Bored Apes are at like 50 ETH. These are at 3. Why would they be 3? Like there's like double them. They should be at least like a quarter or like a third of the same, like of the value. And so just looking at like different like metrics and things like that made me be like, fuck it, let's go deep on mutants, and it worked.
Mm.
I didn't hold all the way. I mean, I have one left, but sold them on the way up and did well, but wish I held them all to 30 ETH. That would have been cool.
I bought one at 20 and I sold mine around 30. So I made a little bit, definitely not as much as you. And
No.
I would love to talk a little bit more about investment strategies when it comes to NFTs because there's a lot of thought around, oh, you should do fundamental analysis. Here's the charts, take a look. And I think that is somewhat helpful and it gives you a better overview of the macro. But the only real winning strategy for me has been betting on teams that I understand better than other people. So the core for me is there has to be information inequality for there to be profit. Someone has to think this NFT is bad while I think it's good, or vice versa, for money to be made. And the biggest examples of that is when I get a chance to speak to team members or founders and really get to understand their vision, their experience, and how committed they are. I think that's the biggest edge I can ever have, and that's where I make my profits. I'm kind of curious what your best investment strategies for newbies or for just people looking to get into the space and learn more.
I think team is one for sure, and community is the other. Just like if you can watch and observe how a community grows, and like if it stays consistent on a growth path, then you can like choose to make like pretty solid investments and things and understand like which way like things are going to go and move. Because money just really flows where like community and energy flows. And sometimes it's really, really quick, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to catch up. And so if you can find the ones that are still taking time to catch up, then you can like make pretty solid investments in things. I think a lot of people just look at floor price metrics and like things like that, and that really doesn't matter too much if like nobody's doing anything in the project or if like nobody like gives a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so sometimes I'll make bets strictly on teams that are like, dude, I bet on, I won't even say the name of the project, but there's a project that sits between like zero point 0.1 and zero point 0.3 like soul floor
Mm-hmm.
that I'll just go back and sweep like every once in a while, you know. Because the team's still active, like
Mm-hmm.
the community isn't super large, but maybe it grows one day, right? And so kind of like a mix of a strategy, like back and forth between like team, community, and like other small metrics that I'm watching.
Mm. What's been your worst place? I can share mine to start. So there's this project called Zombie Punks, and I don't want to shade anyone, but someone told me this is gonna be an amazing collection. It's gonna be the first collection on Solana to ever be delisted. Only have like zero listed. So I got it in at 14, and I checked the floor price today, and it's at 0.3. So that's probably one of my worst plays. And the other one is Solarians. I bought Solarians at 45 Sol. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the CryptoPunk of the Solana ecosystem. Definitely not Solana monkey business. It's gonna be this
Mhm.
one because this one was the first one to mint. Um, also wrong on that one. So yeah, those are my biggest losses, and both were done kind of emotionally because I really should have thought more about Solarians and the community around Solarians and the things that they were going to achieve, but they looked unbeatable at the time. They had their own marketplace with digital eyes, and this was before Magic Eden. It was just between digital eyes and Solana art, and they did have a decent community back then too. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are my fails. I would love to hear about yours.
I bought a lot of tops on a lot of things. I bought top of Steppin recently. That was a pretty big L. um, I rode looks. That was probably one of my biggest like financial L's. I rode looks all the way up, made a shit ton of money, and then rode it all the way back down. Um, uh, but yeah, those are some of the ones.
Mm. Um, let's speak about something a little bit more fun, maybe also a little controversial. How do you feel about influencers and the role they play in this space? Like you said earlier, I think influencers actually receive the wrong blame a lot of times. Influencers are just people that have more following than a normal Twitter user, and they tweet about stuff they buy, they tweet about stuff that they're interested in, and somehow they're held to this standard that if they tweet about something and then it goes down, then they're like pump and dumpers, where more often than not, they probably just tweeted about a project that they like there's definitely pump and dump influencers that have connections to certain projects and that are actively pumping the project and selling on the back door. But yeah, I think most influencers are just traders that got a following and that are just tweeting about things that they like.
Totally. And it just depends on what kind of market we're in. Like if we're in a bull market, like everybody's happy with every influencer. Most influencers, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like unless you're just like completely just like a obvious scumbag. But when you get into a bear market, it really doesn't matter. Like for a lot of people, like a lot of people just get caught up in their own like emotional world, where they like just end up like getting pissed because they lost money on something or this or that, you know, and get stressed because everything isn't up only anymore. So I don't really take a lot of that personally. I'm personally just like understand that people are just like in their own little like experiences. Um, and if people took a little bit more self responsibility in like their decision making when they're trading or who they're following, um, then I think they'd probably have a better experience trading NFTs in general.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own buy and sells. And sure, when you're losing, it's a natural response to want to blame others, but I don't think you're ever going to be growing as a trader in that sense if all you're doing is following influencers, winning with
Mm,
them, and blaming them when you lose.
yeah, totally, 100%. It's a very poor strategy.
Oh, dude, for how chill you are and how just kind of laid back you are, I see a lot of personalities coming at you on Twitter. I remember there was, I'm not gonna name people by name, but there was a certain influencer that was blaming you when like a project broke and this person was an advisor for this project. And then they started blaming us, saying like, "Oh, Magic Eden is scummy. Their launchpad charges like 20%, which is not true at all." And then he started arguing with you. His name starts with a R. I'm not sure if you remember this one.
I don't.
Okay. And then there was one recently. You did your free mint project, and then someone was talking about, oh, this is a pump and dump designed by influencers. I'm like, it's a free mint. Like, I'm not sure where he's trying to like benefit here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people are going to be mad about whatever. Again, it's like bear market things, you know. Like people want to be mad about a free mint with like literally like almost zero royalties, then they can be mad about it. Like we built a really super fun community like in this like 24-hour period and like had everybody screaming dolphin noises on spaces. Like
Oh God.
there's not much more of a W than that in my opinion. Like it was pretty fucking ridiculous. And anybody that was participating and like open to it had a great time and anybody else like wanted to create some like giant controversy or conspiracy or story behind it that just was like let them talk into the ether.
Mm. Yeah, crypto's crazy that way, where we have some of the smartest people in the world like working on projects and working as partners. And we also have people sitting in Twitter spaces making dolphin noises, goblin noises, like full grown men that are paying taxes. It's crazy to think about.
Fuck yeah.
Oh,
Fuck yeah.
dude, I would love to talk to you more about projects and like opportunities. So, what's your biggest like misses in terms of, oh, I was gonna buy this, but I didn't? So, I remember a day for me where I was looking at Boruku Dragons and also Genesis Shadow Coders. They were both coming out at the same time. And this was kind of like mint fatigue for me, where I was like, ah, like I've been minting too much and like things have been going well. Shadow coders are minting really slowly, so I don't want to get into this one. I didn't really vibe with the art. And Boroku Dragons, like, oh, they couldn't even set up like proper marketing plans. Like they stealth minted. Like there's no way this project's gonna be good. And I skipped out on both. And this was at a time where I was spending about 50 soul on like that was like kind of my push on projects. So if I really like a project, I'm gonna spend 50 soul on it and just buy however much like that 50 soul would get me. And I still think about that day. I'm like, holy shit, if I pulled trigger on Shadowy Coders, if I minted with 50 soul, and I bought Boruku Dragons on the secondary with 50 soul, like how much money it would have been. But yeah, I would love to hear about like your missed opportunities.
I don't even think about them to be honest with you. Like that's not even like in my reality or in my awareness. Like I don't spend my time like sitting there thinking about lost opportunities. That's how you miss the next opportunity.
Mm,
So I don't really spend my time thinking about it.
damn, amazing mindset. Then let's talk a little bit about a few of your favorite projects. I'm guessing DGOTS is one of them, and it's the one I'm also familiar with. What made you so bullish? I know you talked a little bit about Frank, but specifically, what about Frank made you so bullish on DGOTS, even though they were kind of struggling, especially after their mint?
The fact that they were struggling and that he wasn't giving up and that he was trying and changing new things,
Mm,
you know, that's just literally like it. As soon as I saw that he was like making dead gods and staking for dust, like I didn't know it was gonna work or like if it was gonna be popular, but the fact that he was willing to like scrap a completely old idea that his entire like model was based off of the paper hand bitch tax
mhm.
and go with something new just made me like more bullish that he wasn't just like gonna fold in like a bear market essentially.
Oh, dude, the current model for how we operate NFT projects are crazy to me, where we give anonymous teams about 6 digit, sometimes 7 digit in funding up front, and then we're kind of expecting them to go out and build while we sit back and wait. And it's a model that everyone is okay with. And yeah, DGOS has been really impressive in terms of how they dealt with their struggles, like their initial mint, their marketplace, them also choosing Alpha Art instead of Magic Eden as their primary marketplace with Paperhand Bitch Tech, and how they like swerved through all that, and now they're the highest floor project in all of Solana. Crazy to think about where they started out as.
Totally. Yeah, I don't even think about the, like giving 6 to 7 figures is not that much. You got to remember, like in 2017, people would like give literally just like $40 million to a dude that built a website and a smart contract for an ICO. And as long as the website like looked decent, like had some cool graphics on it, and like people with like faces, like it was game over. It would be sold in seconds. 40
Really?
million, upwards of 100 million sometimes.
Ugh.
So I think the space has evolved a lot from that point at least.
Wow, you've been through a lot of this. I had no idea your crypto background was that deep. I just thought you started with NFTs, but it seems like you have a history with crypto.
Yeah, been in it a while.
What were you doing before crypto?
Bunch of different stuff, man. Fucking just living life, like college and experiencing life and a bunch of different things.
Okay. Seems like we want to keep the details hidden. I'll respect that.
Yeah, we only got a couple more minutes. I got to get going here. I got a call in like 2 or 3 minutes, so I don't want to get into super crazy details on all that stuff at the moment. But
Um,
if you got another couple questions for me, I can rock it.
let's do one final question. It is the bear
Cool.
market. A lot of people have probably experienced losses. They're way down from their all-time high net worth from November. What's your best advice for traders or anyone just involved in NFTs or crypto that's struggling and that's really dealing with kind of the cloud of the bear market?
Just staying patient and not like over leveraging into like multiple different, like too many different assets. Like for me right now, the time is like accumulation and like slowly buying at different prices, and seeing where the market is and how long we're going to be in this like down phase or whatever. But yeah, just stay patient, just chill, relax, enjoy, have fun, meme on Twitter. Don't take it too serious, and buy where you can, and make sure that you're just afloat.
Mm, well said. Thank you so much for being our guest. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.